Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Coach's Corner University podcast. I am your host, Paul O'Neid, coming to you live from the hospital bed for episode number 2 of the Hospital Podcast. Today I'm joined by two very special people, Francesco and Sarah Catalano. For those of you who remember, Francesco has been on the podcast a number of times in a coaching capacity. He's also a coach with Master Athletic Performance, but we're joined here with his wife, Sarah, to talk about powerlifting, to talk about hosting meets, to talk about the sport of powerlifting and what that means to the community and how they have become involved in it, and to kind of showcase a lot of the things that make powerlifting special and how they are working so hard to try and contribute to that. So guys, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. So you guys started Catalano Events. You've now hosted, I think, 5 meets. This will be the 5th.
Our coming up is our 4th. We have 4 and 5 planned.
4 and 5 planned. Okay, tell me a little bit about why you decided to start hosting meets, especially in Canada.
Yeah. Well, I've always felt this guilt for, so when you've been in the sport for so long, you hear over and over again, like, you should give back. You should, people put a lot of time into organizing these meets and whatever. You should find a way to go volunteer. And I have always neglected to do that. I have been competing for, I think, over 10 years, done over 20 meets, and I never once thought maybe I should go volunteer. It's a lot of work. And now that I've met my wife and we've been together for so long, we are in this really great opportunity or position where we can do something even bigger than volunteering. We can actually host meets. And as I said, I've been competing for so long, doing so many meets all around the world. I did notice that, Ontario was lacking in high quality meets, the number of meets. And just, I felt there was a niche that we could fill.
Mhm.
And, I bring just this motivation and what's another word? Aspiration,
Energy.
I'd say
energy,
attention to detail for sure.
it's for some details. And Sarah brings everything else.
Well, so
Organization. Yes.
Organization.
and
Yeah.
I guess so. Chesco said he's been competing for 10 years. I was competing for about 5 years at that point, and he was living in Canada. I was living in Florida at the time, so we met at the hybrid gym, and when he would come down, and so we definitely have like the sport to thank for where we are now, and a lot of our relationships and our friendships, like you guys too.
Yeah.
How else would we know you? So
Exactly.
once we started making babies, it was like competing just wasn't really going to be on the radar for
Yeah, we had both tried and failed.
Yeah, we both have signed up for meets since Abby was born.
Yeah, left their registration fees, and we're just like,
Yeah,
whatever.
it's hard. I mean, you know how much time goes into it, and
Absolutely.
but we still wanted to be involved. And like Chesco said, we saw an opportunity where you competed at like Boss of Bosses. I did some.
I did Raw Unity. I competed at
Yeah.
national meets in Europe.
So we got a taste of like what, and we both done small local meets as well. And there is a huge gap between a small local meet and a meet like that with everything, with the quality and the flow and the live streams and the photography, like just everything is a different feel. And we thought in Canada that there was, like Chesco said, an opportunity to bring some of that, but at the local level. We're not doing these meets in hopes of attracting the best lifters in the world. Like if they wanted to come lift on our platform, we wouldn't say no.
Yeah, we want to have meets
why we got
where you could have these lifters because of the quality, the attention to detail, the equipment is there for them, but our meets aren't made for them. We want everybody to be there and feel like they are the best, that they are a superstar.
Yeah.
And that's always been our goal for anybody to compete with us, to feel like it is their day.
Right.
Because that's how we felt when we competed at some of these meets.
Yeah.
And we knew, like, some of the local meets, you don't really have the opportunity to do that. They don't have the stage, the production value. There's a lot of money involved in putting on these meets, and I don't expect any local meet to
invest
like that, because then they're no longer local meets. You need those local meets for people to come get their foot in the door, get their feet wet, or whatever. And we felt like we were in a very good position to do that.
We started out, the whole thing started, we ran it by Erica and Al from Scorybrack. And we just ran some of our ideas and kind of our vision by them, and they were on board. They were very supportive with us to, help guide us in what exactly running a meet looks like from their perspective of, being meet directors, but also at the time the provincial directors for the CPL. And WRPF was just making its way where it was going to be officially WRPF Canada. So it was like, okay, let's, we've both been involved with WRPF. Let's kind of latch onto that. And then I have a background in marketing, corporate sponsorship, sales, customer service, event planning. So kind of like Chesco's got this major drive and he talked me into this endeavor. We kind of put all of our skills together to kind of bring a different, obviously we wanted to bring that elevated experience, but we think about more than just the lifters. I think that's another thing that we wanted to do differently is like, we think about the sponsors and their experience. We think about the spectators and their experience, like the platform crew, everybody. We tried to like put ourselves in everybody's shoes and make everyone's day feel great, not necessarily just the lifters. So we've rambled on, probably past answering your question.
No. There's a lot to tease out of that, because one thing that I try to preach, like a lot of our audience is business owners, regardless of what avenue they are, whether they're coaches or whether they're clinicians. There have been a couple of people who have hosted meets, but there are parallels to be drawn with any business. And I think what sets you guys apart and what you bring to the table, more so than a typical quote unquote like local meet director, is the standard of the experience for everyone involved is up to par with these world-class meets, and doing it in a way where, yeah, you could have a world-class professional lifter compete on your platform, and there would be no difference between your platform and a platform, say, anywhere else in the world on the stage, even down to the fact that you guys are giving away prizes, which most local meets is like, here's your plastic trophy, see you later. You guys have arranged, tons of prizes to be given away. When you are someone who is new to the sport, that first experience is so important to the rest of your career, if you want to call it a career, in powerlifting. And so when your first exposure to the sport has professional equipment in the back room, has judging that is strict and fair, that has a live stream that your family can watch and be entertained by, that has the appropriate bathrooms, and like everything about the experience is tailored to showing that person how special powerlifting can be.
100%.
And I think that speaks to the quality that you're trying to bring. Obviously, there is a ton of motivation on your part. What are some things where maybe didn't go as expected, or maybe a little bit more challenging for you guys to deal with?
Well, I'll start with this one. Yeah. We are not gym owners. 95% of meets happen in the location of for local meets, in the location of the gym for whoever's running that particular meet, or a small local gym. So our first kind of major box to tick, besides buying an absurd amount of money in equipment.
Yeah, you guys invested a ton of money in equipment.
Because we had no equipment. We don't borrow equipment. This is our personal home gym, but we didn't have we have outfitted a full warm-up area platform with kilos, with the bars that are on the platform are in the warm-up room, etc. We also didn't have a venue. So now it's location. We have to find a venue that appropriate bathrooms, appropriate warm-up space.
And you say that it's funny that you said something so minuscule.
Yeah,
it doesn't often get met, But and I remember many years competing, having to go tell the mom or the grandma waiting for the bathroom, hey, I'm in a singlet, I have to go ahead of you. Because most gyms only have one bathroom, right? Toronto, GTA, Ontario, real estate's really expensive. Gyms that host meets don't have a lot of money for really big spaces or invest in gyms and that or spaces that have a lot of bathrooms. And that's what sets us apart is we're not tied to any one location. So biggest box that we check off is how many bathrooms does a venue have? Um, I think that's probably our hardest or our biggest challenge is finding venues that meet our
Yeah.
criteria
Mhm.
We
list.
don't cut corners. We're not like, oh, well, there's not enough bathrooms, so we'll just figure it out. Like, no, it doesn't work.
But
How
aside from that, I think it is just finding the number of people
The
that we
staff.
need, the staff, to put on a 2-day event, 130 lifters. That really is 3 days because you have a whole day before that doing equipment checks, administration stuff, and setup. You're looking at 30, 40 people to come volunteer and do this thing.
Mhm.
And I say volunteer, but nobody's a volunteer when they come work for us. We pay every single person, and our staffing is probably our second busy, actually not even anymore. I was gonna say second biggest expense. It's now third. Our live stream has superseded everything.
But it's worth it.
But it is worth it.
Shout out A1.
A1 Digital, yeah. But finding people and bringing people back, like again, like we're not a gym, so we don't get that benefit of having that community. Like as a gym owner, like hey, you guys, you come help out this weekend. I've signed you up. We need you. We have to foster relationships,
Right.
reach out to people, make ads, and just hope that like after each time people work with us, they want to come back because of the experience that we give them.
Yeah.
Pay them, we outfit them, we give them food, we give them ample breaks.
We're not easy on them either, especially the platform crew. We're like,
no, you
listen,
guys have
guys,
high standards.
this is how this is gonna go. This is what we expect. We have conversations with them beforehand saying we need you guys to show energy. We don't, no lifter wants to see a spotter yawning in the back of their photo as they go for a PR after, when they see their photo package, which has happened. But we're nice about it. We try to be like very appreciative and understanding and checking in on them throughout the day, of course. But if we don't, like Chesko said, foster those people and those relationships and literally create our own community, it's really hard to find people that will work for you 13 hours, 2 days in a row, like a full weekend.
Well, I wouldn't say 13 hours. It's more like 11. And that's a big difference.
Oh yeah, just 11.
It's a long
It's a
day.
long day.
And we do 2 sessions per day every time, 2-day meets. Like we're not doing 30 lifter meets for the amount of time and energy we put into these things. Like we're 120 lifters plus 2 days, and we split up the sessions the way that we do. We know we ask a lot of people, so it's nice. Actually, I think for Fall Fury, it's almost a perfect repeat.
Yeah.
Of our CR.
Yeah.
Like they all wanted to come back.
Yeah, like our
Really?
platform manager, we're bringing them in from Quebec.
Yeah. Nick can't come because
We can't get our previous one, and we know the next best person is out in Quebec. Who are we gonna call? The guy in Quebec.
Yeah.
We have Jordy from Iron Shore Barbell, who's done plenty of meets,
Yeah.
and we're bringing him out here, paying him the big bucks so that he could do it, and we're very excited about that. But like we check off every box as best as we can.
Yeah.
What is your ultimate vision for what you want this to be? And maybe then building into, has that changed since you started?
I will let you answer this.
I want our name to be synonymous with the big names that we hear in the States. We just had SBD Raleigh, super cool meet. They're, Hybrid Showdown, Boss of Bosses, Ghost Clash. Like those are the kinds of names that, I aspire to kind of be compared with. And I think we are getting there. And in Canada, our name is getting out there. Like we have registrations from, East and West Coast of Canada and quite a few Americans. And of course, like I don't want to tailor our meets to the bigger lifters, at least not yet. That's not our goal right now. But I want people to see our meets and be like, that's the place I want to go compete at because I know that I will be taken care of.
Yeah.
Not only on the platform, but at home too, where my family and friends will be able to see me do this really kick-ass thing that I'm doing. And continue to make money off of it. Like our margins are very, very, very small.
That
But
was gonna be my next question: is how do you pay out all this money and still end up making it worth your while?
This is a passion project.
Yeah.
To be just completely transparent. I mean, I have a full-time job and I'm in software sales. Chesko's a full-time job as stay-at-home dad, but
And
also
coaching.
coaching. It's like a combo, but that is still both full-time. So we did not get into this to make money.
At least not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And it pays our groceries great.
That's great. Yeah.
Right?
But
We've been able to recoup, I think, like 95% of our cost with all the equipment. We're looking at like $65,000.
But whenever we come,
I thought it would have been more, to be honest.
It might be more. I stopped keeping track this a couple months ago, and we've done quite a few upgrades. I think maybe 70.
But people can figure out how much you make off of a meet pretty easily. They can see how much you charge for registration and how many signups you have. They can do the math, right?
But they don't know our costs.
Exactly. That's the thing is we have our registration goes live and we get 90% of our signups in the first basically 48 hours. We take that money and we're literally like, okay, we're buying another rack. We're buying a new platform. We're doing this, this, and this. And we already have like things in mind that we want to get for the next meet. And we just kind of take the money we get and then go use it that way.
Yeah. Every meet costs us between like $25,000 to $30,000, just as a rough, I don't know what the numbers are exactly
Between
right
equipment
now.
and then all the other
Yeah,
things.
things end up sneaking up. No, not even equipment. Equipment is on its own.
Okay.
We $65,000 to $70,000 now in equipment alone as a fixed that cost, and then it's like $24,000 to $30,000 every meet because we keep wanting to put on a bigger show, and the production keeps going up higher.
And all of our sponsor fees, prizes.
We don't take $1 from sponsors.
Yeah.
To put back into our pocket. We ask.
It goes back to the
lifters.
Live stream or the lifters. There's some sponsorship now with the live stream, but mostly it's prizes for the lifters.
A couple $100 for the live stream, and it really goes back to the sponsor because it allows the live stream to do something more for them that costs us money. So we don't make any money.
We don't even charge. This is bad, but we don't even charge our vendors really. We just ask them to give us prizes or cash, which we then.
Yeah, we want to support local businesses too. So you guys come out here, give the lifters something, and then in return you get to sell your stuff and get your name out there too.
Yeah.
But let's take care of our lifters and or our sponsor or our spotters and lifters and volunteers.
At our last 2 meets, every single person took home a prize, whether it was a top prize or a raffle. We do raffles at the end of every session. Every single person took a prize home, which I love.
And it's not like a dinky prize. We sent people packs of or boxes of Rain energy drinks and gift cards valuing from $25 to $50 to multiple different
all kinds of different stores. Prizes and product and stuff. And so but in terms of what was the question about the big vision? To be, I guess transparency is fun in these conversations, right?
Yeah, for sure.
After we do our meet, we are on cloud 9. We're that was the best. This is why we do this. And then I have a solid 2-month period, maybe 3, where I'm Chesko, I can't do this anymore.
It is not 2 to 3 months. It's every
leading up to the meet.
And it's not even because we're about to have a baby. It's always just every other week. I'm can we talk about this? And I get really excited and we chat. And she's either very excited too, or she just shuts me down. She's I can't do this anymore.
Well,
it's very defeating for me.
This is a therapy session now.
Yeah, therapy session. That's okay. I'm good at those.
We both work. We're raising babies. I'm literally due any day now with our second. You're trying to be a good wife, mother, father, and you feel like you're getting pulled in a million directions. And sometimes it feels like something's got to give. Let alone taking care of yourself and your own well-being. And this is, we say it's a passion project, but it is more than that. We put a lot.
I was going to say, it has to have evolved into more than that, because now I think you're at the point where lifters, especially in the local Ontario community, they rely on you guys.
Yeah,
They
it feels
rely
like it.
on
Like
you
we
that
have people.
twice a year, they're going to be able to show up and have the best possible experience
Yeah, they expect
in
it.
a sport that they love. They expect it, yeah.
You can't go backwards now. That's the biggest thing for us is in terms of like the pressure.
Yeah.
We can only improve. So now that's another, I guess, to go back to your like challenge question is how do we now just continue to improve? We have to keep trying to find things to get better at, which is good. It's not like, oh, we're just the best, we don't need to do anything. It's you want to make sure you take what you did and just make it better and think
Yeah.
about little details where we could. So what are we going to do different for
So
this?
I'm not going to say we're going to find a new venue every year,
Yeah.
but we have found like there's only so much we can do at a venue, and it is a benefit to us that we're not tied to a gym
Yeah.
where we want to promote the gym. It's a free space that we are mobile, and while that has its own issues trying to get things moved from location to location, it is really great for us to be able to say like, okay, like we maxed out like what we can do here. We have to go somewhere different and find out what we can do in this space,
Feel different.
and it can feel very different. That's another thing too. We don't want our meats to feel stale for lifters. So even if it is a really great top tier meat, like no lifter wants to do the same meat 2-3 times in a row where it
Right.
looks and feels exactly the same. And that's what made the decision to go from our first venue to our current venue, CrossFit Connection, so easy for us. We're like, people, if we want people to come back, it's got to feel a little bit different. But next year we're moving to the University of Guelph. Going to get a much bigger venue. Going to be able to do so much more with the AV side of things, and have a bigger space and just make things feel very different and more professional. Not like I don't think we can host meets in gyms, but it does feel very different when you're at a hall or just like a more professional setting. Like most of the biggest meets that happen in like hotels and hall venues and
Yeah.
bigger stadiums kind of stuff. So it's just that's kind of how we see ourselves progressing and continuing to raise our bar. Aside from like the AV stuff, like for this meet, we're upping the production on the A1 digital live stream. Going to have a mobile camera moving around, catching every moment, and just being able to do like slow motion or not slow motion, instant replays and stuff like that, and just
Sweet.
it's going to be really great. We're getting more lights for the platform on the truss so that the lighting is better and athletes feel like they are
stage
on the stage, and they're the rock star. There are certain like it'll be very similar because it's the same venue, but when you compare the live stream from the previous one to this one, or lifters just coming back, they'll see a big difference.
We're doing medals differently too. One thing so because we have 4 sessions, we have a window for the awards ceremony. We cannot award every weight class, every age group, like everyone. You know how it is, Paul. Basically, everyone gets a medal at that point.
And it's almost sad the people that don't get a medal. Like 75% of people get a medal, but then 25% don't because they had multiple people in their class.
Right. And so as much as we wanted to how do we do this? How do we cater to the people that are feeling some kind of way? I used to do road races, and at the end of your road race, your 5K or whatever, you cross the finish line and you get a medal. Doesn't matter what you place. It doesn't matter, no one announces where you placed, but you get a medal, a finisher's medal. So we're going to do that at all 3.
And while people think it's a participation trophy, it is,
it's more than that.
It's more than that. A lot of the medals that I have, they are a gateway. I pick it up and I look at it and it brings me to a different time of my life. That prep, all the adversities that I had to face to get on the platform.
Right.
And like when you are a veteran in the sport and you've collected enough first place medals because you were the only one in your class, they no longer feel like first place. They kind of feel like participation trophies. You kind of understand it. As a newbie, it has a very different feeling, obviously, and I think that's important. But I don't think that the people who are fortunate enough to only be the one in their class should be rewarded. I think and have that piece to remember the meat by and
Right.
that whole time in their lives. I think it'd be really nice if everybody got, a gateway to something really special and cool that they did.
Yeah.
So while,
Yeah.
it kind of seems like a cop out for us to just give everyone a medal, there's a big meaning behind it. It costs us way more money to do that too. So it just shows another way that we're trying to do things different and show people that we care.
Yeah. And we'll still do the top prizes and all that too.
There's a quote that someone sent me the other day from Gary Vee that was, you can run a successful business, but what truly makes it successful is that you run it with love and from the heart.
Mm-hmm.
And like when you're speaking about this, I see how excited you get. I see the look on your face of how proud you are of what you're accomplishing. And I think the people that attend these meets feel the same way. They feel that same energy and love come through. And I think we need that in the sport. Like powerlifting is such a splintered sport.
Yeah.
I think at one point I remember there being like 300 different federations. Like every A, B, C, D, E, F, G type of federation exists.
Right.
In Canada, there's also so many fewer meets
Mm-hmm.
every year. So for you guys to come out and say, no, we want to set the standard for what powerlifting should be in Canada. I'm curious as to if people are going to step up to the plate and try to match you guys, because unfortunately I haven't seen it just yet.
Well, and we're fortunate with the Ontario group. We're a pretty tight-knit group. We all lean on each other. We have group chats and everything because we all got to support each other. Pretty much every meet director is also a ref or, works other people's meets in some capacity. So I think in terms of like what we obviously want to only see the quality improve, and we hope that it will only continue to across the board. But we are trying to deliver a different product than everybody else. I don't think it would be super fair to expect everybody else to get to that standard.
And again, like we don't own a gym, and a great way for gym owners to get people in the door and market themselves is to host meets. So, they are confined to that. They can only do so much at their venue.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, like local meets are needed. People need a place to compete. We can't host 12 meets a year. But I do see people trying harder. I do see equipment
I
being
see that as well.
Even in
For
the
sure.
warm-up room has improved.
Yes, and on the platform too. I think that is like the biggest, difference from when you and I were competing in Ontario many years ago. I remember competing in the back room, there'd be Olympic weightlifting bars or just bars with no knurling and using multiple random, just cages, and you have to try to figure out how to move the height of the collar, not the collars, but the J hooks, so multiple people can squat. And it was a disaster.
Yeah.
And now combo racks are kind of necessary in the back room,
Right.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
And people really respect that. You actually have deadlift bars in the back. It's not just on the platform. I think that is something that has gotten definitely way better. But we certainly welcome the competition.
Yeah.
Because, just like in business, like if there are more players in there, you're forced to elevate yourself. So anytime someone else
100%.
gets better, we're just like, well, guess we have to step it up because we don't want to lose. Like, not that we're trying to put anyone out of business. Like, that's not what I'm trying to say here, but like it does make you stay on your toes and try to do better and elevate
Absolutely.
yourself. When other people would do better, you want to do better than them. And,
Right.
like, not that I think everybody's in competition with each other, but like I want to like my goal.
Cool ideas.
Yes,
Like we should do that too. Like that's a really good idea.
Like I said, like I want our name to be synonymous with those other names, and so like we are in competition with everyone. Like if I see a meet in the States, I'm in competition with them. I saw SBD Raleigh, that was so cool. Let's take these ideas and build on that, and do better. Like and like maybe take some ideas from what's it called? Sheffield kind of thing. Like I'm starting to like that scoring system. Like how can we bring that here? Kind of thing. Like how can we continue to elevate ourselves and beat the world competition? Now like I'm thinking more bigger than that.
And I try to think outside the box a little bit too. Like I really want to do text alerts for this next meet because how many times have you seen it where it's like you're trying to let the PM session know, hey, you're going to start 15 minutes later than we said. Like, how do you get that information out properly?
And how many times have you heard, like, Yeah, we put the announcement on Instagram.
No
Didn't you
one
see it?
saw it on Instagram. No one saw their email. So or like, oh, this parking lot's full. Make sure you go to this parking lot, or this bathroom is shut down. Just stuff like that, or a reminder about the rules meeting. Whatever.
Or go, hey, go check your emails because we sent one.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. I really want to do that.
I don't want to point anyone out, but everybody does this.
Yeah.
But like, I hate when people put these really important announcements on Instagram,
Yeah.
and it's like, why didn't you
Oh
send
my
us an
God.
email? This is important to a very small group of people,
Right.
and if you want to make sure that they get it, email it to them.
But you know why
Yes.
they don't? Because it's hard. It's
It is
hard to
hard.
sit down, get your email list together, build the email. Like it takes some
Have a
effort and
CRM.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's way easier to just post a story on Instagram and say, well, I said it there. Like, so I really want to do the text alert thing. I think that that's going to be cool. We're just trying to just think of any little thing we can to make everybody's experience better.
Yeah. And I think it's something that just, you guys mentioned the competition aspect, and I look at it as if you don't do your best, you're only doing the industry as a whole a disservice.
Yeah.
Because you want to be elevating. Like if you see, like I remember when last time I was in DC, I went to this gym called The Shop, and they were hosting a USAPL meet, or no, a USA Powerlifting.
USA
Powerlifting USA?
Oh, yeah.
No, what's the new one?
Powerlifting America.
Powerlifting America.
Powerlifting America. They were hosting a Powerlifting America meet. They had a wall of LED screens behind the platform.
That's what.
Was that the Christmas one?
That's what he wants.
This was in December. Yeah.
I think I saw that one online. Everyone's
It
like,
was
"That's too many
bananas. I have never seen outside of the Arnold. I had never seen a powerlifting setup like that, and I was like, man, it'd be so cool. I wonder how special it would feel.
Yeah.
For you to step on a platform with an LED screen behind you and all that's like the scoring system, like it was just so cool. And I remember my first meet experience, like vividly. It was in an old school, like dingy gym in Orlando, Florida. I had never touched a deadlift bar before. This was back when there were no calibrated plates. So all the plates on the platform and in the back room were pound plates.
Yeah.
And I was just in awe of the lifts that were being lifted.
Oh, yeah.
And I had a terrible first meet experience, but because of the people there, because of the atmosphere, like I bombed out of my first meet. I could not have cared less.
Yeah.
Because of the people and the atmosphere that was around me. Right. And I think if you can take that atmosphere and just completely have it engulf the person's frame of reference, I don't even remember what I missed. Like I know I've bombed on bench, but I couldn't tell you like what I did.
What it was. Yeah, but that's a good memory. That's another thing we really like seeing too at our meets is now that we've done 3, there are multiple people who have done, if not all 3, at least a couple. And you see them like come together like, oh, hey, like they remember each other from last time, or they've been following each other's prep. Like just seeing a little community that we get to kind of build up even more. Most of our lifters, like probably over half, it's like their first meet, or it's, a mom or even a grandma or a teenager.
I think over half our meet is masters.
Yeah, we have a ton of masters lifters because they feel like it's a safe environment. Yeah. Like they don't feel intimidated by us or the group that we attract, I guess. And it is, we have such a good mix of people. No one really like stands out. And we have had some bigger lifters, right? That are, like Bruno, for example. And we love Bruno, but we don't ever want to give any one person like super special treatment. We want everyone to be safe, but beyond that, you're all equal in our book. You're all the best lifter that day. That we hope people feel that because we do try to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, I've had the pleasure of coaching at 3 of the 4 or 2. I've been to 2 or 3 that have happened. I'll be at the 4th. And like, that is absolutely the vibe. Like as a coach, you see the lifters, like just able to focus only on what they need to focus on
Yeah.
because all the rest of the shit's taken care of.
Right.
And I think that's so important. Let's shift gears a little bit to, running a side business and what that entails from an organizational standpoint and like your day-to-day life. Because like I mentioned, a lot of our audience is coaches or business owners, but many of them aren't able to coach full time yet. Their businesses aren't in that spot. How do you guys manage starting this business? And there's a few verticals, right? You got to start the business, then you got to organize the finances, then you got to organize your time, and then you've got to make sure this thing doesn't suck.
I wish we had some like really professional, like, well, Paul, we set aside 4 to 5 p.m. on Wednesdays, and we are flying by the seat of our pants a little bit, but we do keep like, we have spreadsheets and budget.
Yeah, like I'm fortunate that I've been coaching for so long,
Yeah.
which means I have owned corporations
Right.
and been in
He handles all of that. I would
yeah,
have no idea.
and self-employed, so I kind of understand things from a
Just don't let him handle taxes for it.
yeah, taxes and expenses. I'm like, that's how I told her. I'm like, we can expense a lot of the stuff and the offices and stuff. And it became there's some other benefits to it than just a passion project and making marginal gains. We do get to say my gym is or this office space is where I do my work kind of
Right.
thing and write that off and some of the utilities, which is really nice.
We have milestones that we hit each leading into each meet in terms of like we have to have this done by this many weeks out. We have to have this done by this many weeks out. And we have a lot of great partners and vendors that we work with. But like the athlete bags, we make sure we set aside time the 1 week out to have everything put together.
Yeah, we have to have a timeline for when what each milestone needs to be hit.
Right.
And we kind of understand that now that we've done this so often, so many times, and that's why this is becoming an easier for us to kind of do, and for me to tell Sarah like when she's having all these steps and she wants, I'm like, it's kind of just rinse and repeat now. Like we don't need to learn anything new. We just kind of need to make things better.
But when we were starting out specifically, it was a lot of leaning on people that knew what they were doing, asking them questions, running things by them, taking bits and pieces of advice, whoever we were talking to, or opinions, or even like Jordan and Lucy, like we would call them up and be like, hey guys, like, what do you think about something like this from like your perspective as a sponsor or a former lifter? But then we kind of took what everyone would say and made it our own or took it into consideration and made our own decisions.
Yeah, and for the bigger part for me was looking at all the meets that I've done in the past and kind of deconstructing them.
Yeah.
And how each piece kind of came together, like the chairs, the tables, the people, the banner, the venue, where this money is coming from, just like trying to break down every single thing that's because there's no meet director handbook that they give you. Like we try to put on a USAPL meet, and man, they are so organized.
Oh my god,
it was incredible. Like they gave if I had those resources when I first went to put on a meet, it would have been so much easier. They lay out everything that you need to do and how and when and like I read it, I'm like I figured out all this stuff on my own.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of just trying to tinker backwards from something that I didn't actually have hands on. Yeah, that's
kind of
it's something I didn't have my hands on. Like I never meet directed before, but I've done so many meets. I kind of understand everything that needs to happen, but how you get there, I didn't know. And then trying to poke holes at every meet that Sarah and I have done together or on my own, and trying to fix those and make sure that we don't run into them and why they ran into them and how we can kind of just make sure that we put on this perfect product for that day and those lifters. And obviously, like every meet, you look back like, how did we do that? Like we never let that fly now, but at the time, like that's the best that we thought we could do.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot of just for me, it has been dissecting what other meet directors have done and other meets, and kind of making it better and that. But from the business sense, there is no real organization. I am working on this all the time. Like it slowed down a little bit for the first year. It was the only thing that I thought about aside from my son and my wife. And just trying to figure out how we can make this better every single day. And now it's at a point where like the thoughts can come and go, but it happens every single day, and I try to do things a little bit for it all the time. But
We have a lot of spreadsheets and like OneNotes or whatever they're called on our phones of lists of to-dos and things to check off, and we just refer back to those. Whenever we send like 16-week, 12-week, 8-week, 4-week, 2-week, 1 week out emails. We refer back to what we sent in the past. We make adjustments, add or take away things from it. So it is a little bit of rinse and repeat, but obviously trying to improve. But in terms of like our organization, we're probably not the most organized.
Yeah.
but
and we
try to be.
Yeah, we've made very little money on this so far, and we've been okay with that. Like we keep reminding ourselves, like we're not doing this for the money, because we keep reinvesting in more equipment and doing things. So we sometimes have to take a step. Like at the end of the meet, we're just like, okay, next meet we're gonna make like $10,000. It's gonna be great, and then we're just like, no, but we don't. We want to do these things. Like we want to, and so we just have to keep reminding ourselves like what this business is for us.
Yeah.
And eventually we will be more in the green, but we're okay being, slightly green or just neutral.
There are ways to make money doing this.
But we don't skip.
Just to be clear, there are ways
for sure.
you can be.
You don't pay your
You
staff.
can make profit. Yeah, you can.
Go
You
do it in a dingy
can
high school
pay
gym.
staff and pizza, and that's fine. There's people that will volunteer and be fine with that, and that's admirable. We just don't, we just don't really believe in it. We feel like if they're going to be there, they should get at least some money for their time. And that's fine. That's just our standard. We don't think everyone should have to do that by any means. But yeah.
But you're running it for the lifter, right? You're running it for the lifter. You're running it for the experience. And look, I am probably one of the people that will push for ways to make things profitable more than others.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not think the way that you make profit is by giving up on the quality of whatever.
That's what you'd have to do. You'd have to shortchange something else.
We're not ready to do that.
Yeah, you'd have to get,
unless you charge some ridiculous entry fee.
We're not ready to do that either.
We don't. We have upped our fees because we started out at $150 and the most recent one was $190. And we argue about it every time. We have to like negotiate between the two of us on what we land on. But we include the shirts. We still include the shirts. We don't charge a different amount if you're drug tested or not, which we have been seeing happen.
Drug testing is expensive. We keep running a need.
It's so expensive. And
minimum.
And our live stream went from costing us $0 to many dollars. We don't have to say her rates. So we had to find ways to recoup some of those funds. Like we don't want to lose too much money here. So we did up, but again, I feel like we're delivering a product. Other people are still charging more than us. So
totally.
And you get far less, in terms of experience. And, something that we really like is the way that we do sessions. We have 30 people per session.
Yeah.
So it still gives people that small knit feel on a big stage. The place isn't overcrowded. You're not there all day.
You're in town 4 hours.
Yeah, but you still feel like this was a really big meet, despite there only being 30 lifters, and still feeling like it was a small meet. At the same time, you get to make friends and have experiences. We gotta pay the bills, but like I said, we're not making big time bucks on those registration fees.
I don't see us increasing too much beyond where we are right now.
Yeah, I think as you guys are talking, like throughout this entire conversation, I've been kind of in my head just drawing all the parallels between business ownership in general and whatever it is that you are currently doing. Is like all the things that you're mentioning, whether it be creating a business based on quality, making sure that everyone that participates or subscribes or purchases has the best experience possible. Then coming back to, okay, how do we continue to add value and improve? What are the things that we need to troubleshoot? How can we maybe not compete, but elevate the industry standard? These are all things that any business owner needs to pay attention to. You just happen to choose a business where your margins suck.
Well, if we owned a gym, it would be different.
Yeah.
We would be able to have that venue cost reduced, and that would put some money back into our pocket.
So when is Catalano gym opening?
We keep talking about it. Like we pretty much have all the equipment you need to outfit a gym at this point.
You want to talk about losing money? No, I'm just kidding. Maybe. if we ever did, it would be when the kids are a little more grown.
For sure.
I am very fortunate in my 9 to 5. I work from home and have a good living. So it's kind of like one of those things that's really hard to walk away from for me. It would have to really, really make sense. So I mean, you never say never, but it just doesn't make a ton of sense for us right now.
Yeah, right now.
We love being
Owning a
at
gym is
home.
horrible.
Yeah, we'd have to be at a gym all day, every day. And,
Our mom
that's,
is so cozy.
Technically,
love-
Francesco is in a gym all day, every day.
literally.
And I only train 2 to 3 times a week for 30 minutes. So I still don't have enough time to train.
Yeah, but that's the reality, is we would have to go be at that gym all day, every day. And either our kids would be there with us or they would be in school or in daycare. So we are really, really focused on being as present as possible with our children. And it's so weird to say that. I still can't believe it. And while also doing these other things, because it really is very rewarding. And I love doing this with you. Like, it's a really great thing that we
we work well together.
Sometimes
so maybe 2027, 2028.
Maybe. We'll see.
That was going to be my next question: is how do you guys manage working together as a married couple?
We do it really well. We know each other's strengths. And we really just lean into them. And I do 99% of the work, and she just kind of freshens things up.
A little bit more than 1%.
I'll write an email. I'm like, I need you to put the Sarah ask on this.
1%.
Well, you do like 25% at the meets, but I do all the heavy lifting. I do all
I might have just caused the fight.
I do all the data. I figure out all the software.
You guys do. I'm there as kind of like a little bit more of a voice.
The marketing.
Marketing, social media, coordinating. But he is like running. Like he set up like 4 screens somehow to all come from one laptop, in the back room and on the platform. And I don't even know how he did that. He does all the data entry. And he's right. He builds things, and then I go in and make adjustments right out.
Makes them look better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do.
I'm a commander, and I'm like, I need you to finish the details and put things in places and sizes.
I do a lot of the social media. But in terms of,
she makes the playlist.
I love making the playlist.
Yeah.
We have a really. I could see that as something that you would like doing.
We do have to have some boundaries, because Francesco does wake up 2 hours before I do most mornings, and he'll be in here, plugging away on some idea, and I wake up and he's like, so I had this idea, and I'm like, I need coffee. I need an hour. Do not talk to me about anything related to the meet for at least an hour. So sometimes I do have to set some boundaries, because he's just so excited. And
that's if I ever told Liv that she did 1% of the work for the company, I would have a hole in my face.
Yeah, but it's not true.
Well,
this is true. She knows it. She knows that I do the majority. Like, obviously, it's not 99%. Anybody who says that, it's an exaggeration. I just do a lot more than her, and that's the way that
that's the expectation.
That's what we agree to. Like she said, she works a very different job. Yes, and like, this is more of my passion project that I dragged her on, and she loves it. But like, we knew, like, when we took this on, that it would be the majority me. And if it was 50-50, there'd be something wrong here. Or 60-40. It has to fall more on me than her.
Yeah, I do a lot of the communication with sponsors too, just because that's kind of like my bread and butter, is the conversation we had with you guys, and basically a mini contract that we sent. This is what you get, this is what I get. Like, my full-time work kind of ties into that stuff. So I can...
Yeah, like, I'll come to her with the idea, and then she'll, put it all together and execute it.
Or I'll tell you, hey, you need to reach out to this person.
And I'll tell her that I already did.
Yeah, when you mentioned the boundaries about mornings, I was like, that is... I mean, aside from current situation, I'm usually up like an hour and a half, 2 hours before Liv. And for the first like hour she's awake, I don't have a wife, I have a gremlin. And then she'll slowly start to come around. But like, I mean, now sometimes I actually sleep in past her, because my sleep sucks so hard. But
oh god, yeah. I don't know. I kind of have like a switch in my brain where it's like until like 9 a.m. I am kind of like slow, coffee, hang out with Abby. And then as soon as my workday starts, I'm like, okay, go.
But sometimes she surprises me and she wants to talk about stuff. So then the next day I'll get the idea that she's okay in the morning, and then she'll just shut me down, and then I'll get the gram. I'm like, oh man, I read this one.
Yeah, I'm really excited about like the text alert.
She's like, I didn't sleep last night. I was thinking about this thing.
Wrote it down.
And I'm like, sick. Okay, let's talk.
Yeah, but boundaries and communication are super important. But we honestly thrive on meet weekend. We are.
Oh yeah, you guys are flying around.
Yeah, we
sleep. We get like 4 hours of sleep, and we're just like wide awake and going. And then Monday hits, and we're just like, what?
And I don't even know if anyone like realized this, but at Royal City Rumble 2, I was 13 weeks pregnant, and I had this like wicked stomach bug thing that I couldn't eat or really sleep for like 3 days during the meet. And I was like, I can't not be there. I just have to suck it up and deal with it and like bring the energy that I did. And then I died for 2 weeks after. But we, we are definitely running on high on meet weekend.
Are you, when you're breastfeeding, are you allowed to take modafinil?
No, nor when you're pregnant.
Oh no.
Yeah, it would have been really nice that weekend because I was really struggling. And that's the thing too, like our Fall Fury, our baby's only going to be like 5 weeks old. It's kind of TBD.
Recovering.
Yeah, it's kind of TBD how much I'm going to be there, and I keep telling Chesko I'm not going to, but he's like, we'll see. You'll want to be there.
You'll show up.
I know. I probably will.
All right. I like to finish my podcast with some silly questions.
Oh, I love silly
questions. Or questions somewhat related or just more quick hit. So first thing that comes to your mind, each one of you, Chesko, you're going to go first. What's the best meet you've ever been to?
Competed in or attended?
Yeah, competed in.
Oh, as like a competitor or oof.
Favorite meet? I already know mine.
Oh man, that's tough.
Okay, you go first because it's a podcast.
I want to say Raw Unity.
Okay.
Raw Unity was I feel like well paced, and it was like the meet that really got me into thinking powerlifting was really cool. I heard Jordan Moffat do it, and it really just spoke out to me, and I aspired to go do it when he said all the big names were there. And then, of course, the time I went, like none of the big names went. There was a bunch of controversy, but getting to that point and seeing that production at that time, this is literally 10 years ago, was really cool. And then everything else was really cool, but like there were so many holes in the meets, and as a lifter who wasn't on that prime time, list, like really fell short, or just wasn't great. Like Boss of Bosses, super hot, couldn't breathe in the back. There's like 60, 75, 80 people in that tiny warm-up room, and it's like not great. But anyways, you said quick hit, so I'm gonna say Raw Union.
Quick hit. The last meet that I did, it was a hybrid meet, so the production was fantastic. But for me personally, it was getting a 500 Wilks and just kind of being able to check that off the list because I was like, all right, now I can go and like step away from powerlifting,
off into the sun,
start having babies and all that good stuff. I just really wanted to accomplish that goal. So, and we got to do it together.
Yeah.
And you had your best meet ever too.
That was my best meet. Yeah.
That's awesome. What is the biggest fight you've ever had in prep for a meet?
In prep for a meet?
Like the biggest fight in preparation for hosting a meet.
My God.
Oh, we've definitely had a couple.
No, we have. Honestly, probably what I said before, where I was ready to quit this.
So many times. Which one are you talking?
No, but there was a time where there was some drama, there was some controversy, and I said,
that's right.
I love doing this, but it is not worth this. It was like taking it out of me a little bit. But and it had nothing to do with him. It was some other outside.
Well, it had to do with me, or because like I always told her, like, if the moment you tell me that you want out, like we'll get out. And it's like, I don't really want out. So if you get out, fine, but I'm gonna keep doing it. And like just her just really having a hard time with the whole thing, and going back and forth, and like me telling her that I'm going to continue to do it without her, and I'll figure it out. And her telling
but I knew that I I couldn't. There's no way I can sit back and just watch him and be like, I'm not going to contribute to this.
And I knew that.
So
I just kept saying, it's fine, I'll do it on my own, hoping she would just get over it, knowing that she would come back to me
Yeah.
and not be involved.
Yeah, there was just some energy being sucked out of me that I wasn't okay with for a little while.
Yeah.
But we've kind of all moved past it. Things have gotten worked out for the most part.
But every other week or so, Sarah will come to me and say that we need to be done with this. It's over. I can't do this anymore. And so it's a reoccurring thing. And then again, like she'll wake up one morning and be like, this is the best thing. Look at my idea. It's so cool.
And thankfully, I think in our relationship in general, we communicate where we don't let things get to such a boiling point where we're screaming and yelling and fighting. We are having conversations that maybe get a little heated, but not like where we're walking away from each other or anything like that.
We just say we're going to talk about this again at a later time.
Yeah.
And I go to bed feeling just fine, and Sarah stays up all night because she's worked up. But then we talk about it the next day.
But probably not.
We're both a little bit more calmer and ready to talk and not speak over each other.
That or picking the date for Fall Fury, because I was like, I'm literally going to have a newborn. There's no way we're doing this. We're going to have to skip Fall Fury. And
I was like, no, the lifters, they need us.
Yeah, we figured it out.
They need you. When is Avi going to do his first meet?
He does love being in the gym. Yeah. He loves being in here with us. And we saw like Randy's daughter did a deadlift at her meet. That was really cool.
It was so cute.
Yeah.
As soon as he wants to.
Yeah, probably when he's like 6.
If he's into it.
Yeah. Well, we'll probably start doing like a kids thing. Like now that the lifters that are doing our meets are getting a little older, they're also starting to have kids. Like a lot of the parents are like,
yeah, that'd be fun.
We had somebody request for us to have a daycare area.
Yeah. Play area.
Yeah.
With someone supervising them.
Yeah. I don't think that's ever gonna happen, but it just says like people have kids.
Yeah.
So maybe they would want to put their kid in some deadlift only thing, and maybe that'll be Javi's first meal.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy though, like to sidestep a little bit, like when we all got into powerlifting, it was just like grungy, big dudes. And now it's like your 60-year-old
I freaking love it. I
moms think I do too. It's so great.
That's why barring the outcome, I loved being able to do a local competition. Like I never thought it would be like this, but I had so many people come up to me like, man, like I can't believe you're doing this meet. I'm like, why wouldn't I? I'm not good anymore.
That's something we struggle with there.
It's
like, don't you know me? I had a 500 Wilks at one point. No.
Jessica, what was your best Wilks?
508.
508.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like my best meet was with Sarah, that hybrid meet, and it took me 5 years to beat my previous best Wilks, which was 501.
That's what I
in 2017, or 4 years, 2017 CPF Nationals. I think you were there. And it took me 4 or 5 years and many meets in order for me to beat that Wilks, because I struggled to hit my lifts. So I ended up going like 4 for 9, 5 for 9, sometimes 3 for 9, sometimes bombing out. But if I could put all my lifts together, I could have a really great day. And I was finally able to do that. Like I didn't even hit a single PR. Only my bench PR'd by 2.5 kilos, but I hit a squat and a deadlift that I hit many times years past. And I was able finally just to do a good enough squat, a big enough bench, and a decent deadlift. Like my best deadlift was done like 4 years before that, 6 pounds heavier. And I was just like, just put this on the bar. Let's get me my Wilks. And that was it. But yeah, 508.
That was actually my worst meet in terms of like attempts that I got.
That was my best meet. I think I went 8 for 9.
I think I've
never done that.
I think I went 5 for 8.
Yeah.
5 for 8. But no.
Yeah, I think my best Wilks was in 2015. My best total was in 2016.
Is that funny that works?
Oh my gosh.
A long time ago. Yep.
And I'm pretty sure my Wilks isn't even a 500 dots anyway, so I don't even know if it counts anymore.
No, dots would be higher than Wilks.
Not for women.
For women, it's lower.
Not for women?
And I was like,
Sometimes.
I was like 501, so I'm probably just under. Whatever.
I think my best dots is in like the 540s.
Yeah, I'm like 5. But again, you were in reps, so that's cheating.
Yes.
I was in sleeves.
I'm a very proficient cheater, at least I once was. Guys, I really appreciate your time today, coming on, having a chat. And just talking about like what it's like to host meets. And I think it's important to showcase that there are people in this sport who are trying to elevate the standard of competition and also to provide that world-class energy and professionalism to the local stage. And I think it's especially important that we give our first-time lifters or begin like our more novice lifters the same energy, attention, and experience that you would get at a world stage, because that's how we get people involved in this for life.
Mm-hmm.
So while you might look at it as, oh, we're just hosting local meets, I think that's more important, in my opinion. So thank you guys so much. Is there any parting words of wisdom that you have for the audience?
Well, we appreciate what you said. First of all, it means a lot that is being seen, because that is what we're
Absolutely.
striving towards.
Yeah.
Do you have any parting words of wisdom?
Hosting meets is hard.
But
Don't do it for the money.
but worth it.
But
It's very
worth it. The messages we get, like something that we do notice
Oh yeah.
from our lifters is like they personally call us out, they email us,
They come up to us
they come
after
up to us.
and thank us like
When I see people like write about their meets or do their meet recaps, they never talk about the meet directors personally or them as people. But we go above and beyond and trying to be very personable and
Yeah.
approachable and talk to everybody before the meet, their emails.
We
And,
do
like,
anonymous surveys.
Yeah.
How many meet directors have the balls to do that? We send anonymous surveys to all of our lifters and staff. And
That's
some
awesome.
of those responses are just like, this is why we do it.
Yeah. So for parting words, just thank you for everybody who comes to compete with us. Hopefully, if you're watching this, you want to compete with us and see everything that we're talking about happen to you, for you.
Yeah.
But
We're Catalano Events on Instagram. That's our only place at the moment besides email. We have Fall Fury October 5th and 6th.
Yeah.
Which is
Mhm.
sold out, but we just announced Royal City Rumble 3, which will be at the end of April. We just announced that officially in Guelph, and registration for that will go live the Monday after Fall Fury, so October 7th.
Awesome.
And we tend to sell out in 48, 72 hours, so
Yeah.
follow
Well,
us for lots
I'll
of
have links. Yeah, I'll have links to where everyone can find you in the
Amazing.
show notes. I really appreciate you guys coming on. And for everyone listening, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Thanks for
guys.
having us.
My pleasure.